You're listening to the Non-Del Influencers Podcast, brought to you by FirstFunding. Join host Matt Coles as he delivers powerful conversations to help non-delegated lenders succeed and scale in today's market.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the latest episode of Non-Delegated Influencer. Thanks for joining our podcast today. I'm Matt Coles, National Sales Manager with FirstFunding. Today I am thrilled to be joined by Lauren Gustafson, National Director of Business Development with Strategic Compliance Partners. How you doing, Lauren?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here again. Last time you weren't here with us, so I'm happy that you're here as well.
So Lauren, one of my favorite things to do, I think it's around March of every year, a memory pops up on my Facebook, and it's a recording of your very first day in the industry.
Yes.
How interesting was it that your very first day was, I believe, an AIM conference in Irvine, California?
Yes.
And we were all joking about this new virus that was running around.
Yep. In 2020, kind of thrown into the fire. I think, in the mortgage industry, that's how you start, right? In any role, you're just thrown into it and you figure it out. That's what happened. And my first day on the job, we are a remote company. So first time meeting anyone within the industry, you were one of those people. Our booths were right next to each other. And from then on out, I've been here for now over 5 years. You have been a great, now friend, but resource as well within the industry. So I appreciate you being there and kind of guiding me through some things as well. But
it's been fun to see your journey, and I always love looking back at that video. And it's your very first day setting up a booth. It's fantastic. I love it. So fast forward now, what we are 5 years later here.
Yes.
Take me through your journey at Strategic Compliance Partners. Who were you when you first started at that company, and what are you doing today, and what's changed?
Yeah, so I started as an account executive, and really just my role was being on the phones, talking to as many brokers as I could, telling them about Strategic Compliance Partners. I think SCP has been around over 10 plus years. But even back then, I don't think we were as known as we are today. So really just getting the word out there. And then that grew into now being the director of business development. I handle all referral partnerships, oversee marketing, as well as sales. What that looks like is, obviously you can connect with the brokers, but having referral partners like FirstFunding, being within that, we all want the same thing, right? We all want to talk to brokers. We all want to get in front of brokers and help them succeed within their business. So I think growing SCP in that channel, like our partnership page, has been huge for me this year, setting that up, and really connecting with other, clients looking for mortgage brokers has been a huge key into what my role is now. Again, still overseeing sales, but, instead of telling brokers who we are, brokers now know SCP, I would like to think, and we're established within this industry enough to where, key players like yourself and other partners have grown us so exponentially that we just have to present and do well at our job, to have those brokers. So it's been great to see over the years kind of the progress with not myself, but also SCP in general.
You've probably seen some pretty incredible growth because a lot of people are coming back into the broker side of things for over, 2020, 2021, 2022. And then the natural evolution, some of them want to start doing some banking, and that's where you and I start working together. But let's talk a little bit about that side of it, especially at the very beginning. I've always thought of a loan originator as a really good hunter, wanting to go out and grow their business. And then they decide, hey, I'm going to go do my own thing, right? And probably, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to put words in your mouth, compliance and all that goes into it. It might be one of the last things they think about.
Right.
Take me through what that looks like for your side.
Yeah. So obviously they want to start their own business. They want to be their own boss. So that's really where those mortgage brokers come in and say, I can make more money. I can have my own schedule. I can do this. I have the backing to do it. But then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, I need this, or I need these policies. I have to do this reporting. And then they get kind of scared and say, wait, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are thrown into there to say, okay, we do this every day. We know what you need to do, what you can and can't do. So, when it's honestly not feasible to have an in-house compliance officer in your team, that's when they're looking at our team.
So right now, a lot of brokers and emerging bankers too, we're going to kind of lump them all in the same, and then we're going to talk about emerging bankers in a minute here. But when they're looking at state growth, right, that's probably a conversation that you're having, or LO growth, right? Like, hey, I want to, I've been doing this by myself. I think I'm ready to bring on a team of other LOs.
Mm-hmm.
How does SCP help with the state? If I'm here in California, you're in Arizona, I know, as an originator, I know California state regulations. I know what the licensing requirements are, but I want to dip my toe in Texas and Iowa and Ohio and Florida. Take me through what you do for them when they want to know what the different states look like, reporting wise, licensing wise, net worth wise, all of that.
Right. Yeah. So, obviously all states are different. All states require different things. Within the NMLS, it's not that easy to navigate.
Right.
And a lot of states like calling the same document something different, right? So when you're going into the NMLS, when you're going into the NMLS to get licensed, number one, your company needs to be licensed in that state to do work in that state, right? You need to have a qualified individual, or have that individual licensing within that state as well. So what our team does, we have a crew of just licensing consultants. They handle licensing every single day, and then we have our ongoing consultants. So what that looks like is you would get teamed up with some of our licensing consultants and say, okay, do you have this, this, and this, net worth requirements, all of those things that go into certain states that are different. Some are the same, but again, you still have to submit it individually for each state. So if anything is the same, reporting wise for that state, you still have to submit it twice for, Texas or California. You have to submit it both times. Right. So really just going through that checklist, the NMLS, the MU forms through the NMLS, you having basically a consultant telling you what you need to do. And then us going in there as well, having our own login, going through there, helping with submittals, documentations, all the way until approval.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes it would probably, if I'm an originator, it'd probably make me feel a lot better to have SCP by my side, just so I know that I'm doing everything correctly.
Right. Yeah. Because also when you start the MU1 form, you're on a timeline, right? So they then give you a timeline and say, okay, you need to finish this form at, in these amount of days. So that puts a little pressure on it too, to say, okay, did I submit the right document? They called it this, but it looks like this. Is this correct? So really just knowing that language in there, and knowing what they're going to ask for.
Yeah, because I think what I've heard, right, if you don't do it correctly, by the time your number gets pulled and it's not done correctly, back to the bottom of the pile, right?
That's exactly. Right.
What states are the most cumbersome to navigate?
Yeah. So obviously, number one, I wouldn't say cumbersome, but most difficult, right? Longest is New York.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, New York has pretty tough rules, regulations, and just the timing of it, right? So same with California, maybe not as long, but just having the state get back to you and approving things, it takes a very long time. So actually a big misconception is the time length, right? So working with a company like us or a licensing consultant, if they tell you that the licensings are going to go quicker from working with them, that's not always the case, because it's on the state's approval, right? So we can have everything at the forefront, going quick, submittals, having all that done in a timely manner. But at the end of the day, you're still waiting on your state to approve you. And that's what takes the longest time. Right. But yeah, I would definitely say, New York is pretty difficult to go through.
All right. I know I get this question a lot, and it's about pay. Right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Matt, we're thinking about adding some LOs. What's the right pay structure? I mean, I've been in this industry for a long time. I think the W-2 versus 1099 conversation is still happening.
Yep.
Take me through what that looks like from your perspective as the compliance partner. I'm sure you get that question quite a bit.
Yeah.
What do you guys do on that side of it?
Yeah. So SCP stance, 9 out of 10 times they're going to recommend W-2, just because of the federal laws in place. Obviously there's some exceptions, some states situations, but we do have W-2 versus 1099 webinars for our consultants. Our consultants are very knowledgeable about that topic. We provide LO comp agreement guides within our platform for our clients to kind of create their own. But we're not a law firm at the end of the day. So we cannot create that compensation agreement for you. We can guide you through it, tell you what's right and wrong, but at the end of the day, it's up to that broker.
Yeah. So then when you let's fast forward now to you worked with the broker. They come to you and they say, you know what, we're ready to make the move into the banking side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you and I connect on that quite a bit. What are some of the hesitations that you hear, and what are some of the ways that SCP supports that?
Yeah, so we fully can handle non-delegated mini correspondence, right? That's why we're here. We do not do delegated, right? That's way more involvement, way more legal. So we only do in DC side of things. What that looks like, going back to licensing, there are different licensing types that you need to be a non-delegated mini correspondent. Very little states are okay with just the broker licensing type. Only a few. Any other state, you either have to have a dual license, meaning you have to have either a lender, banker, and broker license, or what they call a single license that covers any type of broker license that's out there. So you need to make sure within the MLS that you have the correct licensing type before you move forward, or you will get in trouble. Obviously, we can tell the difference of that. Tell us which states you're interested in. We can tell you what you need in those states, and really just updating that NMLS first and foremost, what you can do and what you're approved for to do with that licensing type.
Yeah. So the solution that you guys are providing, some people have shared with me, oh, I only need that if I'm a 50-person shop or a 100-person shop. But I know that you work with a lot of people that are 1, 2, 3-person shops.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a big shop, right? Like that's you're employing 50 to 100 people. You need to have your ducks in a row to do that. Whether that be that LO comp questions that come up, or obviously getting an exam or an audit, you need to be on top of your game, especially as an NDC. Your policies are changing. So any of the policies that we provide are, typical mortgage brokers, that has to change as well now to have lender language in it to be approved within those audits.
Yeah. All right. So you get everything dialed in. Looking back at the last maybe year or two, what are some of the things that have bubbled up where SCP has had to really provide some advice to a lender about? Any challenges that came up with a lender that you can think of to say, hey, SCP had to really help with this situation?
Yeah. So actually what comes to mind are things that change that are required within the industry. So I think last time I was on this, there was a gray area about reporting for NDCs and mortgage call reports on a quarterly basis. Number one, you as an NDC, you have to report mortgage call reports quarterly. That was something that wasn't the case, in the past, and now it is. So really just having to explain that and walking them through what that looked like. And again, having those LOS systems that are correct, making sure you're putting in the correct data so you don't get, slapped on the wrist when you do have that audit. And for NDCs, to having your net worth requirement, not just at the end of the year. You have to fulfill that requirement throughout the whole year because of those reportings now. So that's something I would say, just with the changes in the rules and regulations, making sure that our NDC clients know and are adjusting to that as well.
And how much do loan originators love doing call reports?
Yeah, they don't. Actually, some like it because they like the control, right?
Yeah.
So it goes back to, who's our target audience? Our
Yeah.
typical mortgage broker that owns their own shop. They want to do their own thing, but do they have time for it?
Well, that's one
So
of the things that I always talk about with FirstFunding. I'm trying not to make, I try not to make these a FirstFunding advertisement, but the robust reporting we have inside of our system, we have a financial summary report for all of our lenders that breaks down every single aspect of every single loan that they close on our facility. And it just makes the backup of your LOS system even cleaner, because we're
Right.
getting it from the data from your CTC and your lock, your lock that you're providing to us. So it's really good information and robust reporting. So it comes all together. Your partnership with SCP, your partnership with FirstFunding really makes it easy for you to do all that reporting.
Right. And within that too, though, so I talked about our licensing consultants a lot. Our ongoing consultants, those are the ones, helping you through the audit, all of that, but they also can do your mortgage call reports. So you obviously provide us that data. So having the backing of what FirstFunding provides and of whatever LOS system you're using, make sure it's a good one.
Yeah.
You still give us that loan data from that quarter, and then we do the rest. So we'll have our own login, we'll submit it, all of that. If you need to go back, clean things up, which a lot of brokers do, especially when those exams come, that's something that we can provide as well. If you still want to do it on your own, we can tell you how to do it and do it correct, right? So you have that responsibility still, but you have kind of, okay, in the back of your mind, you have this checklist, you're doing it right. So there's nothing to worry about.
All right. So one of my favorite questions to ask in the early spring, it is about to be conference season, which seems in our industry to last forever.
Right.
What are the important, give me an idea of two-folded question. One is, what's your conference strategy? I love this question. Like, how do you prepare for a conference? Like, what do you look for? What are you trying to accomplish at a conference? And then what's your post-conference follow-up?
Yeah. Yeah. So I like this because, again, it kind of goes back to our team being a remote company. So I'm the one that kind of plans all the conferences, right? So I like taking one of our licensing consultants, one of our ongoing consultants, because they are just a bundle full of knowledge on both sides. I like having at least, those two people there. But then we also look at it as a time to bring our team together. So some of those bigger conferences will have a lot more of our team there because they never see each other.
Right.
So really just having that morale there, having someone that can answer any broker question that comes up to our booth in a timely manner. So, we obviously want to present ourselves that we can represent you with compliance. So having someone there that can answer any of those questions are really important, I would say. And really just having, you guys, right? So having members throughout, I would say, like, whatever conferences we're going to, it seems like a lot of them are in October. Connecting with other partners. So always trying to grow my partnerships, my book, right? Always trying to grow that. So it's not necessarily just about the brokers that attend the conference. It's the other booths. It's everyone there that you think you can benefit, their company, as well as reversed. So I would say just really strategizing, having those conversations, not being afraid to walk up to another booth and saying, what do you guys do? Can we help you in any way? And then, like I said, just, getting the team together, I think, is always fun for us.
Yeah, I think it's we're going to try to leverage. We're going to try to bring some operational people out to the conferences that we do this year, because I want them to see that it is, first of all, they should get to know our customers just as well as the sales side knows.
Exactly.
And I do want them to see, like, the role that FirstFunding plays in the overall scheme of what happens in a mortgage, right? And so,
and with that point too, our clients that attend these conferences, they can walk up to our booth and say, oh my gosh, Scott or Melissa, I talk to you guys once a week and now I'm finally meeting you face to face. So that's always fun as well.
Yeah. You guys provide such a great service. I just think that it's it's such an, I don't know that it existed, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that they could kind of, I don't want to use the word offload, but to rely on you guys and your expertise. I just think it's such a valuable way to work so that you don't have to have this constant constraint of like, hey, am I doing everything right? You got a partner, like, listen, when I make sales calls, I always like to make a sales call. I almost dread making sales calls by myself because I want someone to bounce ideas off of. And the same thing probably goes with an originator, right? Like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What does this look like compliance wise?
Right.
What is this going to do to my costs? Whatever it might be, right? And just having you guys there. Give me an idea of, I know it's pretty reasonable, but how is it? Thousands of dollars? Is it hundreds? I mean, what I know it's in a general sense, like what does it look like?
Staying on the topic of just NDC, right, for this podcast. So non-del would start, let's say $349 a month, right? And that's just like our essentials plan. Yeah. We go all the way up to a plan called outsource that actually brings in a third-party company to be a business management person for you. So that can go into the thousands. And that's what's great about kind of where we stand is, like you said, we do have those opportunities and services for a one-man shop, but then we also can handle, the 150 man shop and kind of whatever they're looking for. So yeah, I would say it really just depends, right? How many states you have that can start adding up, but it starts at that 349 mark. And can go into 1,000 or so, just depending on how big you are.
I do love SCP also because it reminds me a lot of FirstFunding. When people come up and talk to me about FirstFunding, I feel like they think it's like an organization of 100 or 150 people.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, no, I think we're 12.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly
SCP is the same, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how we are. But and I like it that way because we do that on purpose, right? So again, going back to those consultants, they're so vital to our team because of the relationship they have with our clients. So our clients don't dial into a hotline and talk to someone different every time, right? They know that they're talking to someone, they know who they're talking to, and they have that relationship base. And that's important because they're trusting us with compliance for their company. Yeah. So I like that. And then obviously we're actually looking for another consultant to join our team just because we have been growing. So we do that whenever needed, whenever we see fit, but still not overwhelm our clients with all these different people that they can talk to. And each consultant, has a skill set not like the other. So, they're well-versed in everything, but, it's cool to see that it's such a small company with making this big impact.
So I want to get you out of here on this because I just read an article and I wish I had it up in front of me. And it made me laugh because it said something to the effect of mortgage bankers look forward to laxed regulations. Like, I think we've read this story before about lax regulation. So given the current, temperature of compliance, what's on your mind as you go forward in the next 3, 6, 9 months? Like what's the number one thing that you're looking at right now?
Yeah. So I would say it's not going away. Right. So compliance we're not redoing 08, that I don't think personally that's going to happen. If anything, our company is going to be more needed because number one, this is what's happened within the past 3 years, right? So after COVID, all of a sudden everyone started getting audited, right. Because they didn't in 2020. And now they're saying, okay, we need all these, things in order. So it's something that I think is just going to, honestly, I don't want to say benefit SCP, but it is something that we're looking at to say, okay, when these trends happen, typically brokers contact us more, right? Because they want to make sure they're doing things correctly. They want to be overly prepared for whatever happens in the future. And that's just something that I think our team offers, just having that backing, and us basically in your back pocket to make sure you're not doing anything you can't be doing.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you got to navigate, right? I mean, there's federal regulations, there's
Mhm.
state regulations, and one of the things I always talk to a lot to my clients about is just because an investor says you can do it, please check compliance before
Exactly.
right? Just because someone else has interpreted something, don't put yourself in a position where if an audit comes around, actually, I do want to be one last question. Talk to me about audits. How do you guys support lenders that are going through the audits?
Yeah. So number one, right when you get notified you're getting an audit, contact your team, contact your consultant, say, hey, I just got this notice. This is what they sent me. What do I do? We'll walk through kind of like the MU forms through the NMLS, right? So we'll walk through every single thing, help with documentations, reviewing files. We still will review files before that for audit prep, right?
Yeah.
So reviewing files, helping with responses. We would not talk to the auditor directly, right? Because we're not an employee of that company. We're not the broker owner. But we would be more of like a soundboard for you through that process, making sure you're okay. And then obviously just still having those policies in your back pocket that now you can say, oh, I've been paying SCP this, but now it's actually needed, here they are. So that's really cool to see too. And just, up until it's done and over with, our consultants will walk you through everything, hopefully ease your mind a little bit through that audit. But yeah, it's up to those consultants just kind of hand holding you through that whole audit process.
As a person who's been through some corporate audits before, if you hand them a nice, neat little folder for everything you think that they're going to need, a smile comes on their face and it becomes a lot easier for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And with that being said, obviously an audit hits, people scramble. If they're not signed up with us, they can be right away. But the auditor does see that, right? They see the marking of the policies that were created the day after they got audited, and so forth. So just having us in place honestly eases your mind, in those sorts of situations.
All right. Well, Lauren, I truly value your partnership and our friendship outside of the office. And I think you're just such a great resource for every broker and lender out there. I can't thank you enough for not only your partnership, but SCP as a whole. And I really do appreciate your time joining us Non-Del Influencer podcast. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me via email. I don't know if we can put it in the bio. It's just Lauren.
What's the company website?
strategiccompliancepartners.com. It's a long name, but that's where we're at. And then just Lauren at Strategic Compliance Partners. My phone number is on there. Anything you need, email me, contact me. You have my contact info as well. But yeah, definitely if you have any questions, if you see anything, reviews.
Every time I see you, we talk about how we need to shorten your email address.
I know the SCP was taken or something like that happened.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining. And we'll look forward to the next episode of the Non-Del Influencer podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Of course, Matt. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Non-Del Influencers podcast, powered by FirstFunding. For more resources and episodes, visit nondelinfluencers.com.